Hello, I guess I'm live now. Can anyone tell me if you can hear me well enough? I will get the presentation and start with it soon. So now I don't know if I'm heard. Okay, I've got a confirmation, so we're good to go. Let me just display the presentation. And yeah, I have it on my screen. Now I'm starting the share. So, okay, here's just another. Okay, I guess I have to just leave and come here again. Please give me half a minute. I'll be here with you in half a minute. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the hassle. Now, the presentation, and we will start. I should do the webinars more often, then the technical stuff would be more smooth, I suppose. Okay, there's the presentation. So I think I can now finally share the screen. And here it is. So I will just wait for final confirmation that you can see my screen. There should be a cool old typewriter on it. If anyone can just send me a comment that that's actually the case, you can see a typewriter and the first slide, and then we'll start. Okay, I see a thumb up from Karol Lotkowski, so I guess this is my signal to go. Okay, thank you very much for coming here. I'm Tomek from Arkansas, Tomek Wróbel, and I will give this talk to you. So Andrzej actually came up with the topic for this talk for me, because he just looked at the list of blog posts I wrote in 2021, and he said there's almost 10 of them, because that was like 2 weeks ago, and back then I have written 8 blog posts in 2021. So Andrzej said, if you make it to 10, then you can make a talk titled, I wrote 10 posts in 2021, and that's going to be it. Yeah. So actually, I thought it's a nice idea. I have a lot of, typically I have a lot of ideas what to write about, and I have a lot of drafts. So finishing these two ones wasn't a big problem for me. So yeah, now we're here. Yeah, and actually, the last post I wrote yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't write it if not the pressure that my boss exerted on me. So that's 10 blog posts in 2021. Angie said they are popular. I didn't really think of them as such, yeah, but actually some of them made it to Ruby Weekly, which is the most important Ruby newsletter, I believe. So one could argue they were somewhat popular. But the most interesting thing, actually, here on the right, that's the 10 blog posts in 2021, yeah? And in all the 3 or 4 years before, I have also written 10 of them, yeah? So one could say that's quite a speed up, because in 2017 there were just 2 of them from my site, yeah? In 2018 I didn't write any blog post, perhaps, or on another platform. 2019 there was one. 2020 something started to change. So we're gonna get to this. And finally in 2021 there's 10 of them. Okay, so I'm obviously not here to boast about having written so much blog posts, yeah, because nothing to boast about. The biggest part of why I can do that is that I do it as part of my work. We in Arkansas are free to write blog posts in our work time, and that's just fine. Actually, we're even encouraged to do that. But something changed. So what was that? I was wondering what was actually the reason, and one of the reasons was eliminating friction. Friction meaning, what do I have to do when I want to write a blog post? Do I now need to go pull a repository and then make a couple commands and then something and then something? Does it take 15 minutes to do the setup around a blog post, or does it take 2 clicks? And actually, there was quite a lot of friction at the beginning with our blogging setup on Arkansas, but at one point, Pavel from Arkansas, who is here, I believe, made a funny little tool to spawn a new draft with just 2 clicks, yeah, and that thing basically made me publish a lot of drafts, and then I turned some of them into published posts. I believe with a lot of platforms like Dev2 or Medium or whatever, it's also simple to publish stuff. So yeah, that's, I believe, another reason to start with a platform, because the friction matters. Yeah. So if you set up your own blog where it takes a lot of time to write a single piece of text, yeah, you might just feel not like it when some inspiration strikes. And with that setup in place, where I could basically write new pieces with 2 clicks, I started writing way more, because I started basically putting my notes into drafts and then making something out of it. Okay, now the second reason that something started to change. Here's a quote, perhaps a little offensive, and you might wonder, why do I put something like this in a talk that is supposed to encourage you to blog? Actually, this quote is a title of a book, which I haven't read. Someone write a book with this title. I just heard it somewhere on Twitter, the title, and that was enough for me to get inspired. So the difficult truth is that actually there's so much text on the internet. We all have tons of stuff to read, yeah? So why would someone want to read your stuff, yeah? It's a difficult market, one would say, yeah? So, and actually that's the case, yeah? People don't have time to read everything, yeah? So if I wanna have my piece succeed in this market, if I wanna have actually someone read my my blogs, then I should make it as easy as possible for the reader to benefit from the text. Yeah, that means get to the point as quickly as possible. Yeah? So normally, when I try to write a blog post, let's show you. I can show you the first one that I wrote on Arkansas. I started with background and then some story and so on. Today, I wouldn't write the blog post this way. Yeah, I would say get to the point as quickly as possible. Make it as easy for the reader as possible. Skip intros, disclaimers meaning this doesn't work for everyone. This is disadvantages. This is some kind of noise that doesn't bring a lot of value to the text. Yeah, and often a good, valuable piece that's on point can be just a piece of code with some comment of yours. So a blog post doesn't have to be long. Yeah, it doesn't have to. There doesn't have to be a story around that. Yeah, and often the simpler you make it, the easier it's to read and interact with. Yeah. So if I make a long post, a wall of text, I bet there's less people reading that and interacting with that. Yeah. Okay, but let's start from the beginning, because my idea for this talk was just to go through my blog posts that I have written over the time in Arkansas, and just to show you some lessons I learned. So the first one was about something called production tests. Yeah, and it was fine. The blog post was fine. To this day, it helps me avoid repeating myself in arguments. So in various projects, we have discussions around tests, deployments, yeah. And whenever we talk about monitoring the production service, production tests, I can just link this post and yeah, have people read that without me explaining the pros and cons again. Yeah, that has an additional benefit of being public. Yeah, if people see something is public, then they might think it's more credible because actually it stood the try of people's feedback. Yeah. Okay, but the problem here is I think I waited too much with publishing, because there was so many other ideas I could blog about earlier, but I didn't. I waited for a big topic. So I would say don't wait for a big topic. Then another bit was about some command line tools and Tmax. I guess the lesson here is that everything is useful. Yeah. So if this is useful for you, someone might want to read it. Just make it easy enough to read. Okay, then there's another blog post on storing commands. I like it a lot because it has shown what kind of cool things we can do when we store commands, and to this day we use it to show people in some kind of projects, yeah, why we would want to do that. Okay, and here I'm getting to the point of being succinct again. So I think at this point of time, which is April 2022, I really started trying to make my content succinct, meaning short, meaning explain what you want to give to the reader as short as possible. Yeah. So here there's a example of how I explained how the three objects in Rails library relate to each other, being connection handlers, connection pools, and connections. And I think it all boils down to this single sentence. Yeah. So my idea is to explain as much as possible in the first sentence, yeah, not to hide something from the reader so that he can only know it when he goes to the very end, but to give him as much value as possible as quickly as possible. Yeah, and this posts tend to have more interaction and be more useful to people. So here's another post with in this kind of vibe where I try to summarize the kind of rules we tend to stick to in Arkansas. We have a whole book about that. It's called Async Remote, and we want our collaborators and clients read the book, but they don't always do. So I thought, let's make a summary of it. And then there's the blog post that I think that's one of the best ones I made so far. And actually behind this one, which is the comparison of approaches to multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is how to have completely separated clients' data in one application. Yeah. So, for example, yeah, I guess most of us do multi-tenant applications. Yeah, where you need to separate data from one client and another because they shouldn't have to do anything with each other. And actually, I was working on this problem for a longer time, and I just wanted to organize my knowledge. Yeah. So I'm not even sure that my intention was to write the blog post at the beginning. I just tried to organize all the different pros and cons of all the approaches. Yeah, because there was a lot of discussion around that happening, and here's the lesson from it: that writing is thinking. For me, I feel like I don't have a lot of memory, like working memory in my head, and often writing helps me think. And I think that's the case for many people. When I want to organize some knowledge, I can try writing it up, summarizing this. When I try to make some reasoning, I can have some vague idea in my head, but only when I start to write this down, then I can know if it makes sense or not. It's easy to think what you think makes sense when you're just talking about that, but if you write it down, that's a different beast. So it helps to think. So even if I didn't publish the piece, it would still help me. And again, this blog post is the one I think I received the most love for. It was featured on a couple of newsletters. It's still linked by people when they discuss multi-tenancy approaches. And again, I tried to make it as easy as possible for the reader to read. So you can see it's just a table. There's some other table below. I use some emojis, short sentences, because if this was a wall of text, I bet there would be like 10% less interaction. Yeah. So again, if it's short, it's better. Yeah. Another blog post. Here's the lesson that blogging can be a side effect. So I was researching the topic of multi-tenancy, and there was a huge thread on Hacker News with so many people commenting on the topic of multi-tenancy. I mean, it was really huge, but I was researching the topic at that time, and it was really interesting. And then I thought, I read that, why don't I do something with it? Yeah. So I was just putting people's comments into my blog posts. I took the ones that were interesting to me. It was like, let's say, 30% of them, but still, it's something someone might want to read. Yeah. Because after all, I did the work of filtering people's comments. Why not publish this? Yeah. So I was doing my research. I was reading some discussion. The blog post was a side effect. And to this day, it can help people see different perspectives. Yeah. Okay. Next one. So there was this time I was researching the topic of multi-tenancy, and I did like 5 pieces on that. So yeah, the idea is here that if you're doing serious research, actually you can. There's a lot of room to publish, yeah. But even if you don't, there is. That's the last bit on multi-tenancy, I believe. And here I would say that again, avoid walls of text. Yeah. So I wanted to explain all the caveats, pitfalls we had when I'm implementing multi-tenancy, but ideally with a piece of code in every situation. Yeah? Because for a lot of people, programmers, it's the piece of code that talks the most. Yeah, programmers tend to prefer a piece of code to a wall of text. Yeah, and yeah, that was it. And again, I think I would get back to this post if I ever needed to do it again. Then another blog post. I think this is the first one from 2021. So that's where the current streak started. So here the story was, I was just implementing a process manager. Actually, Pavel from Arkansas did a blog post on that a couple months or years earlier. But when I tried to implement the process manager, I went back to his post, and there was a lot of story around that. So I just thought I will write about this again in a slightly different and make the code look slightly different. And the idea here is that it's okay to publish stuff again. It's okay to publish stuff when someone else already wrote that, even if it was your colleague, because people need to see different takes on the same problem. People need to see the same piece of content again and again, and it's just okay to publish stuff that's already published, yeah, in a different form. So that should be no excuse. Like I don't want to write because I don't have anything new to publish. Like if you have something new to publish, you can make a PhD, but it shouldn't stop you from publishing on a blog. Okay, here's a blog post about changing past events and event-driven system. And again, that was a blog post actually, that blog post was just a byproduct of an internal discussion. So we were discussing mutating past events in a client project, and actually Pavel prepared like the outline of the approaches that we can choose from, and it was just a couple edits away from having a blog post on that, yeah. And to this day, we get back to this blog post when we want to explain the choices we have in this problem when talking to other people, yeah. Then there's this gradual automation in Ruby blog post. It's interesting because it's so simple, yeah. The previous blog post about the process manager and event versioning, these are quite advanced topics, yeah. And I would say these ones were more valuable, yeah, whereas they didn't generate so much feedback than this post, yeah. This is a pretty simple post about basically making print statements, and this made it to the Ruby Weekly newsletter and some other places. So again, the lesson here is, I believe that it's okay to publish simple stuff, yeah, because a lot of people are looking for it anyway. You are learning something new every day, and there are so many people behind you who don't know it yet, who would benefit from what you can just write. Actually, I think the current estimation is that every 5 years, the number of programmers double. So half of the programmers on the whole world are like less than 5 years experience, yeah. So that's so many people who can benefit reading about simple stuff, yeah. Basically anything you learn daily. Okay, then there was a blog post about a test survey that we did in Arkansas, and nothing especially innovative, because that's just publishing the results. But I wanted to make it in a succinct form, very short, yeah. So you can even see it all fits on one page. And the idea is, here's a nice quote from Mark Twain, an author from centuries ago. I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead. So again, it's an encouragement to try to write stuff that is short and simple, because if it's short and simple, the readers get more value per minute spent reading your post, yeah. And sometimes you need to do some more effort to make it short and and simple, but sometimes it's just publishing the very central piece alone. Yeah. So if you have something interesting to share, perhaps just grab a snippet of code and add 1 or 2 paragraphs of why and when, and that's it. Yeah. If you add 5 paragraphs, your point can dilute, and people just won't interact with that. Okay, so then there was another piece on the next major version of Event Store that Mirek and Pavel and Rafa worked on. I was just the one who did this write-up on what was changed. Still a good thing to share. And then we come to the very simple pieces that I did. So every time I was writing a blog post like this, I was thinking, is it really worth it? Isn't it too simple to publish? Because here it's we just present a very simple piece of code, how we integrated our Slack instance with Discord instance to help us know when someone joins a voice channel on Discord. We didn't get notified in Slack. But there's so many interesting side effects when you publish something. Here in this post, it's not only about the code, but also some people can know how we work. Some people can get inspired to do something like this themselves. So again, it's okay to publish simple stuff. People just won't read that if they not interested. But in order for people not to feel like how to say, not to feel bad when reading something that was really simple, I try to make it clear. What do I present? Probably the most of it in the title or the first paragraph. Okay, and here's another piece. And the story here is that this could have been just a snippet. I typically have a text file with various snippets. I just don't want to forget. So whenever I need this again, I would go to the text file with all the snippets of code. But it's so often valuable to just publish it. And here I posted a single snippet how to record API interactions in WebMock, and one of my colleagues, actually Pavel again. So there's a lot of credit to Pavel today. Pavel is having the talk tomorrow, and Pavel just said it's bloggable. So I thought, really, bloggable? Like it's just a snippet of code, yeah. But I did that, yeah. I did that. I just did 2 paragraphs of why and when. And the interesting thing was that it landed on Ruby Weekly just the next day. I was completely surprised because, you know, Ruby Weekly is a serious newsletter, yeah. They don't just show links together. I think the person behind it makes a good effort to understand, explain what's in the blog post being linked, and still that little piece was there, yeah. So again, publishing simple things can just help people, yeah, and everyone benefits, and you're being known. Okay, then there was another blog post about making remote work feel less lonely. I think I like organizing knowledge. So when there's a certain topic and there's 7 advantages and 3 disadvantages, I like to sum it up and have it somewhere. And this is just another type of this post where I basically organize, summarize the stuff that everyone already knows, let's say in our in our company, yeah? And then we can just link it and have other people know it too. Okay, I think this is the one of the last pieces I did. Again, listing the disadvantages of a certain technique, this time pull requests and reviews. And what do I want to say? I posted this on Reddit. And you can see that it's got 13 upvotes, yeah, and 40 comments, yeah. And this is a bad ratio, yeah. So basically, if you got way less upvotes than comments, then you can pretty much know that people don't really like it, yeah. And there's probably people like trying to correct you or angry with you. I think this topic is still a little bit controversial. It's a little bit too early for this discussion. But here comes the topic: how to deal with this bad negative feedback. Yeah, and I have to say I still haven't got through these comments because it was a busy week and I just haven't had the emotional budget to go through them. But yeah, that's the reality. People have a lot of negative feedback to share sometimes. I want to say it's beneficial because if I go through it, I can then see what can I improve, what people didn't understand, and I can improve my blog post and to make it more understandable. Yeah, but still, there's a lot of negative feedback. Yeah, there's a lot of negative emotions, and it could be hard to bear. And I think you just need to get through that. Yeah, you don't owe anything anyone. Yeah, so this is the internet. Everyone posts whatever he believes. But I think you can kind of prepare for that. I think it makes sense to stay humble. Yeah. So typically, it's when you get somewhat ahead of you and say stuff you can't really back, then it's easy to yeah, it's easy for people to fight you. Yeah, but if you try to practice the quality of being humble, I think it can kind of vaccinate you against some amount of negative feedback. So I believe humility is underrated, and if you just try to stay humble, I think it can make you a better writer who's just fine with that. Yeah. Okay, and here's the last bit about Sidekick, about the last blog post. This is the one I wrote yesterday, just to be able to tell today on the talk that I actually wrote 10 blog posts in 2021. Yeah, so that was the pressure from Andrzej, because he came up with the topic for me, and I had to do it. Yeah, and what I want to say, there's an interesting story behind this blog post just from today. I will get to this soon, but in the meantime, I think it's a good time you can tell me in the comments if you have learned something today, if it inspired you, just a little bit. If you, yeah, if it went like 5% more when it comes to your motivation to blog, if there's something like this you learned today, just tell it in the comments. It would be very, yeah, lovely to hear. And I will get back to the slides. You're closing, you're, yeah, close to the end. Okay. I think I have to do better next time. And by the way, oh, there's 35 people watching. Nice to see you all here. Okay, so again, if you're on the fence, meaning you still haven't started blogging, or you did it a long time ago and you're thinking about doing it again, just start simple. Yeah, so probably the simplest way to do would be to go to this this platform Dev2. It's pretty much suited for programmers, and it's just very easy to start. Yeah, so don't block on unnecessary stuff. Okay, and the story about the yesterday blog post. So again, it was so trivial. Yeah, I was literally looking for a piece to publish just to meet the 10 blog posts target that was kind of imposed on me by the topic of this talk. So I just did that. A couple of days ago, I had to deal with Sidekick retries. Yeah, and I had a couple snippets of code that I needed to deal with that. Yeah. Again, I have put that into my big old text file where no one would even know that. Yeah. And this time I had to write something, and I just put that on a blog post. And in the morning, I can see that Mike Perham, so this is the person behind Sidekick, who actually implemented Sidekick, which is the library like half of the Rails projects use. So pretty popular. And he would just retweeted that. Actually, I think I'm not sure this is positive or negative feedback, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. What matters is that there's interaction. Yeah. I still have published something valuable. Mike Perham said he needs to do a follow-up on this, and everyone benefits. Yeah. So your piece doesn't have to be complete. It doesn't have to be advanced. Just start publishing, and then some nice side effects can happen. So I would ask you, what is that little snippet of code you are hiding somewhere in a text file? Maybe you can just make a blog post out of that. Yeah. And this will start you going. And here, it's a nice topic of peer pressure. Yes, so actually, these two last bits, I did them just because I knew I have to have the number 10 blog posts to be able to give this talk, like I do today. Yeah. So normally, I hate the idea of writing just to meet some numbers. I don't really like the challenges, like I will write a blog post every week for a year, because often this leads to not so good content, but sometimes it's good because it can unblock you. And this time you can see I did that, and there was some nice interaction side effects of it. Yeah. So when it comes to the pressure, here's my offer. You probably could have heard that yesterday during the Andrzej's talk. So we've got this school the university, one could say it is Arcademy. It's basically a platform where we give people access to all our courses, the big ones, the small ones, for a monthly subscription, which is $50 a month. And there's a course on blogging. There's a course on architecture, on async remote type of work, on refactoring techniques. A lot of content. Basically, most of what we published through the 7 years of, probably more years, of Arkansas activity, and it's all. It all comes in Academy subscription. And this time we are hosting something called Academy 5 Days Blogging Challenge, where we encourage people who want to do this to publish 5 blog posts or just one. But basically, for 5 days, we are there to help you. We can help you generate ideas. We can help you review your blog post. We can help you write. We just want to support you on our Discord server, where we can just jump on conversations, screen shares, just help you start your blog. Yeah, and also there's a actual English teacher who can review your blog post when it comes to English. So if this is your reason for hesitation, there's someone who will review your English. So today, I believe, is 15th of April. If you join our academy now, you can take the blogging course on the weekend, and then from Monday to Friday, you can take part in the challenge. We will be there to support you, and as a result of that, you can have 5 blog posts on your personal blog. So this is a lot. Imagine your next job application. You will not be like a random guy applying with a CV or something. You can show that you have something in public. So this can be a game changer when it comes to your next job application. So for this 5 days next week, we are there to help you on Academy. You can just join for 1 month. So you subscribe now, quit later. It's completely fine. No hard feelings. So I think it's a nice idea to join and have that little pressure, expectations, and also a lot of support to get you going. Imagine you have the 5 posts after that week, next week. That's going to be a good one. Okay, here's the Academy blog post again. Okay, and that's day 2 of blogging conference, Academy blogging conference. Tomorrow there's 2 talks at 5 p.m. Central European time. There's this talk by Pavel about the technical and non-technical challenges of running a blog, and then there's the talk by Mira about the awesomeness of your English. Basically, if you could understand my talk, why wouldn't you use your English knowledge to publish too? Okay, so if there's any questions, I'm happy to stay sometime here and yeah, just talk on whatever you think is interesting. Thanks a lot for being here. And I hope it was any good. I'm looking at the comments. If there's something you want to ask, just post it in the comments, and it's fine. Oh, here's an interesting comment. Essentialism. I think I need to look it up. I don't know what it is. Oh, Andrzej says Reddit programming is a specific community. So in 5 years, half of the programmers of the world could have less experience than me. The world is doomed. Not if you start publishing, because you can make something to make it better. Yeah, you can be part of those people who educate the other ones joining. People on Reddit don't like authors with promoting own articles. It's like fight a losing battle. Yes, I think it depends on the community. In some communities, it's okay. In some, not. I mean, the particular Reddit page. But I like Reddit because of the amount of feedback people give you if they don't agree with you. You can get so much out of it. Yeah, people actually write 10 times more than you did in your original piece, and you can just refine your point. Yeah, that's definitely the case. Discussions. There's a lot of different perspectives, and there it's often a great opportunity to turn it into a permanent piece of knowledge. Yeah, because discussion disappears. Yeah, and if someone makes the effort to turn it into a written piece, then that's a big benefit. Do you peer review blog posts? Who decides when they are ready to go or what's good time to publish? So in Arkansas, we don't. If you just wanna write something, you just do it. We trust each other. We're a small team, like 10 people. We got a good alignment on most of stuff. We pretty much know what is fine to write. Yeah. And if someone just does something stupid, then we can always fix the mistake afterwards. Yeah. So I can always hear that in companies, there's so much process and ceremony about publishing a blog post that no one does that. Yeah, because if you wanna publish something on your company blog, then you have to agree on the topic, then someone has to review that, then someone has to do the graphics, and it takes like 3 weeks to get from the idea to the publication, which is like, who likes that? I think if you let people write, you will have some low quality content, but you will have way more enthusiasm and actually authentic stuff in it. Where to promote the blog post and not to get hated? That's a good question, because first, it's a little sad if no one reads your stuff, yeah, and you kind of need to find a way where to promote it, yeah. So you can get some of it on Reddit, you can get some of it on Twitter, depending on how many followers you have. You can submit it to various aggregators. Um, you can probably, being able to show up on a newsletter like Ruby Weekly. That's really nice. We have the cool thing about Arkansas and Academy is that we have a lot of channels where to distribute and promote our stuff. So typically some people read that. Yeah, we have our mailing list, and this makes you want to write more. Yeah. So again, I think if you join Academy, you can have your post read by other Academy members. Yeah, I think at this point it's like over 100 people. We will believe it will grow. So by being a member, you have some community already. You can get in touch with people. I believe Andrzej likes to retweet stuff that is interesting, to promote people blogging. So just make friends, yeah, and build your promotion channels. It's important. But your question was about getting the hate. I don't know, because it's. I think if you focus on giving value, then your blog posts won't get so much hate as they can. But if you rant about frameworks, rant about people, if you criticize this, criticize that, then you get a lot of hate too. Yeah. So, but still, you will get some amount of hate even if you do everything just fine. Yeah, and you have to get vaccinated against that. Thank you for all the nice words. Do you run your own blog outside Arkansas? I have a homepage. It's gonna be a blog, but not yet. I think at this point I publish most of stuff on Arkansas, but I will have a personal blog soon. How did you get your article on Ruby Weekly? Can you say more? Yes, I think there's some places like Ruby Flow where the articles get sometimes picked up from there. I believe Peter Cooper, who's the editor of Ruby Weekly, he just knows some places where to look for new stuff, and I believe he probably checks our blog too. Yeah, but I could see the question on Ruby Weekly where they invited you to submit your link by just replying to the newsletter. Yeah. So I think Peter, who is behind the Ruby Weekly newsletter, he just reads the replies, and probably you can just ask him and show him your piece, and yeah, just try it. Yeah. Okay, I think I got to the bottom of the question list, and actually is just 1 minute to 6 p.m. and actually it's 6 p.m. so it's a good moment to call it a day. I will post the link to our Academy on the comments section. I think it's worth it. Yeah, you will see the community, you will see what you can get out of the blogging challenge, and in 1 week you can be a person with a technical blog. Okay, so thanks again for attending. That was a good time, and see you somewhere. Okay, bye.